Okay, so I've got this big black network cabinet that I need to mount on this wall up here, and it needs to be as high as possible so that it's high enough that when somebody walks in through this door here, they don't hit their head on the corner. Now that may not be possible, but I'm certainly going to try to get it up as high as I can. So having said that, your first instinct might be to raise the cabinet up, have someone hold it for you while you try to put the bolts through the back. But my method is to first strip down everything off of the cabinet that you can to make it as light as possible. So it's got side panels. See that little key lock there? I'm going to take the side panels off, take the front glass panel off, take the other side panel off. Sometimes they store hardware in there. I'm going to take that out. Okay, so once it's light as possible. But the second thing I'm going to do to make life easier is I'm going to take a piece of cardboard, like so, and in the back here, where they've got their little holes there, see that little oval-shaped hole there and that oval-shaped hole there, is I'm going to use this piece of cardboard as a template. So I'm going to put the piece of cardboard there on the back. See, I cut the cardboard to be the exact length of the cabinet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a marker pen on the other side to make little spots. Then once I've made my spots, I'll take my cardboard cutout and I'll put it up as high as I can, or where I want it, make holes in the wall through those little spots that I drew, and then I'll have something I can hang my cabinet on rather than trying to hold it up while putting in the bolts. Okay, so I'll come back in a little bit and show you how that worked out. Okay, we're back. So now what I've done is I've used my template to cut holes. So here's the bottom ones. Basically I just drilled a hole that was about a half an inch, maybe not quite, maybe 7/16 inch, because it's large enough to put these butterfly bolts in. Now these are actually a little bit different than what traditional butterfly bolts, at least were when I was growing up. These actually go in like this, and then after you put them in and you pull them tight, there's this little collar, plastic collar that slides down to make it tight, and then what happens is you break off the rest of the plastic. I'll show you one here in just a minute. Anyway, so I've got the top 2 bolts in. I'm getting ready to do the bottom 2 bolts, and then once all of those bolts are in and they're just kind of hanging out, I threaded them a little bit, but I needed them to hang out about 3/4 of an inch so that when I go to mount the cabinet I could slide over the top of those. And I'm going to use washers, but once I've got all 4 bolts in there and I've got them hanging, then I can take one out at a time and put the washers on. So here's how this works. So see, I've got the hole. Take this guy, slide him through here like this. So the hole needs to be big enough to let this slide through there. And then once it gets in there, kind of wiggle a little bit so that you know that the metal part is flat against the wall inside the sheetrock there. And then you slide this collar down. I happen to do it one-handed here because I need another hand to hold the camera. So these plastic arms, they're like ratcheted. They've got like almost like a zip tie, kind of like. Get that tight up against there like that, and then you just break off the excess like that, and then voila, you've got an already pre-tapped hole ready to go. Anyway, let me show you what those things are. They're new to me. I'll show you They are Kendall Howard wall mount hardware kit. So I guess just Google Kendall Howard wall mount kit. There's the SKU right there, 0300-1-001-00. Okay, so once I get the other 4 bolts in, all I have to do is just lift the cabinet up and hang it on top of those bolts, and then take each one out at a time and add the washers back on, and I'll be set with that. I'll show you the finished product in just a minute. Okay, now it's up. One of the things to note here, and it just happened to work out this way, but won't always, but I put this as close to the ceiling as possible for a reason, and that is because if you look at where the bottom height is here, it's about 7, maybe 7.5 feet up. I did that for a reason because you don't want something like this protruding away from the wall that somebody could hit their head on. And the other thing it does is it allows the door, which is right there, to be able to swing open and go underneath the cabinet. But the former thing is the most important, is that it's not sticking out for someone to hit their head on. So as you can see, I've got it resting on those individual bolts that were sticking out of the wall. Now I've got washers that I need to add, but the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and put the bottom ones in with the washers, and then I'll be able to take these out one at a time and apply the washers one at a time, without causing a problem with the cabinet coming off the wall. And then I'll just put the other side hardware back on, the doors and the front panel and all that, and we'll be off to the races. Okay, thanks for watching.